Hello, it's Rob from Fountain Pen Journey. Pen review time. This is a Jinhao 301, which seemed to came out about a year ago, back in I suppose early 2018, and largely seems to have sort of gone under the radar. I don't even know whether it was popular. I mean, you compare it with the likes of the Jinhao X450, X750, those models of Jinhao pens, and yeah, they're still popular and in plentiful supply on various sellers online, eBay, Amazon, even widely available pens. This pen, the 301, never really seemed to make it. I don't know why. It was only really around, or is around, in a fairly limited range of colours. I wasn't particularly impressed by the range of colours that there was, but I quite like the marbled finished X450s and the like. So I thought, well, I'll give this one a go because it's something a bit different, and I do like Jinhao pens. I have concentrated a lot more recently in other Chinese pens and other pens in general. So the X450, yeah, still in daily use. I mean, there's usually one inked up somewhere that I'm using. But I thought I'd use these pens because I'd had these for quite a few months before I actually got around to using them. So I thought, let's give them a proper go. Let's see what they're really like in everyday use, and do a review after a few weeks. And I am actually really surprised how good these are. If anything, I'd say that they're potentially better writers than the X450 and X750. Your mileage may vary, but I'll show you what I found. So, Jinhao 301, also called, you'll see this in eBay descriptions, Jinhao 301 Diamond Hat. Now, diamond hat part refers to this finial up here, which is black, and it's got I'll just turn off the light, see if that actually shows up a bit better. Yeah, it's got this faceted diamond, well, I would say diamond, but it definitely isn't diamond for the price of these pens. Yeah, this false faux diamond embedded in the top finial, and it has, focus, come on, there we go, and it has diamonds sort of pave set into the edge of the finial. Turn this back on, there we go. Right, so gaudy, yes, there is quite a bit of sparkle to these diamonds, and in the right lighting you do actually get a little bit of fire, which is quite nice, but it's not quite as in your face as you'd expect from something like this. I mean, I'm sure there's fountain pens out there which are diamond encrusted all the way along the cap of the barrel and everything else, if that's your sort of thing. But I didn't find these too bad. I don't think they're the sort of pens I'll be taking to work with me to write down notes in meetings. I might get one or two slightly odd looks from my various colleagues, but yeah, to be honest, I quite like it. I think it's understated but still stupidly gaudy and flashy. It doesn't really match the pens. There are other finishes, colours available, which maybe to me more your sort of liking, but I actually like the Jinhao marbled finishes. So we've got the blue version and the black or grey version, which there's no chatoyancy. It's basically a wraparound cover that goes on the pen. So I'll just cover the parts of the pen. I'll use the blue one. Obviously, we've discussed the black plastic finial with the faux diamonds in the very top of the finial and around the edges. silver band, which I'm guessing isn't quite joined to the clip. Now, the clip itself, this is, I don't know why Jinhao keep doing this, but they change the clips fairly frequently. Maybe other manufacturers of the clips come along and say, hey, we can do your clips cheaper than the person you're using now, but you know, it will be a slightly different design, but it'll fit the pen. So in these Jinhao 301s, we've gone more with the it's the Jinhao Y clip. So it is sort of, I don't know, oar shaped maybe, and it sort of comes down, and it's got this flattened, hammered, spoon shaped, chisel shaped thing here. I find that the clips are perfectly functional, you know, decent strong clips, slides on and off easily because of the shape. Very happy with the clip. All metal pen, covered in this, I don't know, some sort of wrap, coloured wrap that creates this. Now the colouring itself, there's no chatoyancy, it's just plain sort of glossy plastic wrap or some sort of vinyl thing that goes around the pen. I think the consistency of Jinhao's wrapping material is great. Honestly, if you're looking at this thinking this is chatoyancy, don't, just don't. It isn't. So yeah, but it gives you that sort of impression. Nice colourful pen, metal cap band, which is pretty unremarkable and has absolutely no branding or marking on of any sort whatsoever. Down at the bottom end there is a silver ring, black plastic cap, which seems to have scratched up already quite quickly. Cap, come on, focus. Oh, don't you just love cameras? Cap pops off. Now, you can post this, but it doesn't seat. It seats well, but not deeply. And I should imagine that if you keep pushing this onto the barrel of the pen, yeah, it's going to start scraping away. There is a cap liner which is going to stop the barrel going any further, but this metal here is quite sharp, and there is a screw at the bottom. I haven't noticed any rusting, but I suspect that if this gets ink in there and it gets left for any length of time, there is a possibility that that might rust. So, clips on securely, doesn't rotate, well, it rotates, but hardly. Pop the cap off. Now, let's have a look at this section. No, let's start with the nib. First thing you're going to notice, hooded nib. This is a fine nib, hooded nib. It's got a very Bauer-esque feed. Now, if you're familiar with things like the Bauer pens, they've got this sort of plain feed. This hooded nib and section, I feel, is very similar to some of the other Jinhao hooded nibs. It's all metal, very, very shiny, polished, picks up fingerprints like nobody's business. There are some slight ridges here, but to aid grip, which, to be honest, it does, but I find it's a little bit too high up for my fat fingers, because I've obviously got more of my, if I hold this, there is about 50% of my finger surface which isn't actually in contact with this ribbed section of the section here. So yeah, I don't find that this is an uncomfortable pen to hold, but it does taper down in this sort of conical fashion, which kind of forces my fingers further down the section than it should. But it's not a problem. I'm happy with it. There is a step up between the section and the barrel. It is noticeable at the back part of my fingers and the thumb here, but it's not uncomfortable, it's not irritating or annoying. It works. Yeah, these pens, good length unposted, very comfortable. They're quite slim, much slimmer than the Jinhao X450s if you're used to those, but I'm quite happy with it. Really, really good pens. I will also state that barrel unscrews and yeah, metal threads and yeah, some sort of adhesive which has been used to hold the finial in place. Now, these pens came with standard international cartridge converters. Got nothing against Jinhao Jinhao converters, but in these pens I have installed ink cartridges. The ink cartridges themselves are from the UK supermarket Sainsbury's, so that's a separate video. I'm not going to go on about it. Just state that that's what's in this pen. So I've got a standard short international cartridge installed in that one. The black pen, exactly the same. Yeah, exactly. Nothing different from the outside. But when I purchased both of these pens, I got them from the same seller. I'm sure they were doing some sort of discount, buy one, get one at 5% off or something like that. And I thought, hey, I like both the blue and the grey or black Jinhao finishes, so I'll get both. So when I unwrapped the pens, didn't use them for a while, thought, well, you know, we'll get around to it at some point. And it was only when I came to ink them up quite a while ago now that I was actually thinking, hang on, something's not quite right here. So let's uncap this Jinhao 301, the black version. Oh, yes, it's not a hooded nib on this one. This one is a standard Jinhao medium nib, steel nib, plastic feed, and to be absolutely honest, Jinhao nibs, I find their medium nibs can be a little bit hit and miss. I like their extra fine and their fine, whatever version they want to call it, the hooded nibs. But the medium number 6 nibs that these are, they're a bit of a mixed bag. I've had some which have been absolutely brilliant and some which have been absolutely rubbish. But the hooded nibs I've generally found have actually been really, really good, and this pen's no exception. So, two completely different nibs and sections. You'll see that the black version, the grey marble version, has a completely smooth section that isn't quite as tapered. It's also a little bit longer, which for me actually suits me a little bit better. It is glossy, and you know that leads to fingerprints and also slipperiness if you've got slightly sweaty or greasy fingertips. So the most important thing now is telling how these pens write. So let's get on with the writing sample. I'll start off with the black one. So this is the Jinhao 301, and it seems to be commonly called, by the sellers on eBay anyway, diamond hat. So what you'll see when you look for Jinhao 301 is a whole load of, on eBay, look for Jinhao 301, you'll see these listings come up and it'll say Jinhao 301 diamond hat or diamond cap or something. Hence, you know, because of the faux diamonds that are installed in the finial there. So this is the grey marble. Try and get this to focus. There we go. Grey marble. And of course this one has the medium number 6 nib. Which I'm happy with. I think this is a good pen, and this nib suits this pen. Sometimes you see Jinhao messing around with these style nibs in other pens, and they produce the fine, the extra fine or fine hooded nib version, and then they move on to standard nibs. And sometimes they don't always look all right, but I think both of these pens look great with either the medium number 6 nib or the extra fine or fine hooded nib. So I don't think it detracts from the pen at all. Everything's in good proportion. So let's do a writing sample with this. The ink in this pen is also Sainsbury's. And it's obviously black. So nothing extravagant there. Let's just zoom out a little bit. There we go. Make it a little bit easier. Pop that onto one side. Writing sample time. So very, very, very good nib. Smooth, wet. Absolutely happy with it 100%. Medium wetness, nothing extravagant. I will state that this particular, well, in fact both of these pens, I have not touched the nibs at all. I know that in some of my reviews I do actually state that I've done some nib tuning, because quite honestly I couldn't review the pen without doing the nib tuning. I always mention this. To do a pen review, I feel that it's only right to have used the pen for some considerable length of time, at least a week, 2 weeks, or in my case usually several weeks, possibly even months before I actually review a pen, just so I can work out what I think of it, what I like, what I don't like. When it comes down to these particular Jinhao pens, one of the reasons that I didn't use these pens for so long when I bought them was simply because I'm not a massive fan of some of the Jinhao pens. I find that they can be, certainly the X450, X750, I like them a lot, but I find that the feeds can be a little bit inconsistent, and you end up with a slightly dry writing, ink-starved pen after about a paragraph of writing, which doesn't do me any favours. I like a nice, wet, consistent writer. These pens really are. This Jinhao 301, yeah, it writes and it writes and it writes. No ink starvation. Very, very happy. You know, it does what you expect it to do, and it's consistent. Really, really good. Steel nib, I mean, you're not going to expect to see any line variation, but you know, it is what it is. Good quality, really cheap, well worth it. So a couple of quid, £2 to £4 on eBay gets you a Jinhao 301, which I thoroughly recommend. I'll do the blue pen now, so let's move this up a little bit. Just get that one out of the way. So here we go. Come on, focus. There we go. Right, so this is the blue marble. Now this nib is sold, I believe, as a fine. Hooded nib. Now, it's fine, extra fine. I suspect it's more of a fine than an extra fine. It depends on the seller. As I bought these pens, I bought them both from the same seller, expecting the same pen. Didn't even take any notice what sort of nibs or sections I was expecting. So it was a surprise, as I said, completely different sections and nibs on both pens, but quite a nice surprise. Very pleasant surprise. So yeah, the extra fine or fine, I believe this one to be a fine rather than extra fine, is, yeah, it's very, very nice. The ink is also Sainsbury's. Yep, is what it is. So, a bit of a writing sample. Very consistent with the black. There's not very much I can really say about it. I mean, these nibs are very, very good quality, especially for the price. I mean, you really, really can't complain at all about this. Just lay down a little bit of ink just so you can see what sort of job this pen does. I mean, it's smooth. I like it. I like it a great deal. The black one for you as well, so you can see how the number 6 nib performs with this. Yeah, it does exactly what you want a pen to do. For £2.50 or thereabouts on eBay, you get a very nice pen. Different to the X450. There's no weird triangular grip section like you get on the X450. But it is a slightly slimmer pen. Still metal body, still not massively heavy though. It's nowhere near the weight of an X450. To be honest, it feels quite light, but it's more substantial than a plastic pen. Really, really nice, cheap pens that work really well. 2 different nibs, and you get, you know, I'm really, really pleased. So this is the Jinhao 301 diamond hat, as some sellers seem to call it. Does it get a thumbs up? Absolutely, yes. This is a really, really good little Jinhao. So this is definitely recommended. If you're in the market for a very cheap, affordable metal pen, just point out once again, these are metal pens. Definitely recommend it. Good quality, and you just can't argue with the price. Really, really good. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.